Super Series Bowls on ABC Sport. Welcome to the second Super Singles semi-final at Moama. I'm Steve Rebillard. Great to have you with us. I hope you enjoyed last week's semi-final when we had a great win for Peter Harris over Bill Cornells. Today promises to be just as exciting. Our contestants, Steve Glasson of New South Wales taking on the Tasmanian champion in Mark Strochnetter. They met last year. Shuey, it was a great match. Same again today, we hope.
Probably, Steve. Mark Strochnetter, as you mentioned, is in the Australian squad now. He's a rising star. Last year he beat Steve Glasson. Who would have thought 3 years ago he was our marker? Trying to defend his title today. Should be a great match.
Let's have a look at the conditions of play for the singles. 4 bowls per player. They're going to play 2 9-end sets. If they split those, we'll have a 3-end tiebreak. 30-second shot clock running on their first 3 bowls only. No dead ends. The jack to be respotted if it's sent off the rink. In commentary with Ian Schuback is Steve Boylan.
Carnival atmosphere here at the Moama Bowls Club. This is the second of the semi-finals in this Australian Super Singles. Led off by last year's champion, Mark Strochnetter from Tasmania. And his opponent today, Australia's #1 ranked player, Steve Glasson. Hails from the St John's Park Bowling Club, Sydney's western suburbs. Not a bad start from Glasson. We are playing 9 ends in these sets. A terrific game when these players last opposed each other in this tournament. That was last year in the semi-final. Strochnetter, of course, getting through to win the title. Steve Glasson, he'll be looking to turn the tables here today. Quite a accomplished player, Steve Glasson. His opponent, Mark Strochnetter, I don't think it'll be all that easy. What's your tip, Shuey?
Steve Glasson. Mark Strochnetter, though, Steve, he's in form. From the Longford Club, 75 members. What a player, what a future. In his quarter-final match, Steve, he had a very convincing win over Queensland's Mark Casey, another Australian squad member. Well,
Only one, Jeff.
Good result, second shot.
Yes, hold.
Thanks.
Steve Glasson, he's been off colour lately. He's had a bit of a virus or flu the last couple of weeks. Just saying before the match he cannot shake it off. He declined an invitation to be in Belfast at the moment to represent New South Wales here in this event.
Quite wide enough that time.
Please, Jeff, the shot bowl.
The front bowl is about 10 inches.
Right, my bowl.
Your bowl, you're a bowl and a half short.
Thank you.
Wealth of information from the marker, which will enable Mark Strochnetter to determine what shot he's going to play now. He's got enough weight to try and disturb something, but I think he's going to be a touch unlucky. Not quite wide enough. And both these players in the Australian squad was announced at this tournament. And Mark Strochnetter, for the first time in the senior squad, has been in the Australian development squad, the under-25s, for a number of years, but he reached that critical mark as he turned 25, but straight into the senior side. So a wonderful accomplishment for him. Won this tournament last year. He's no slouch.
Steve Glasson, Steve, he may attack here. Strochnetter only has 1 bowl close to the jack. Steve Glasson's last bowl, he might try to remove that green bowl for a big count.
Well, he's playing for it. Just missed. Well, 1 shot it is to Steve Glasson. So he's on the board now in this first end of this 9-end set. Start the second. Glasson playing the backhand.
It's one thing we've seen over the years, Steve Glasson, he tends to play backhand around the clock. He plays both sides of the rink. Backhand in this direction, and forehand and backhand coming back, which means new line and different speed on both sides. Strochnetter, on the other hand, is playing backhand on the first end and forehand on this second end. So he's sticking to the orthodox method of playing singles, staying on one side of the rink. How could you argue with Steve Glasson? Multiple winner of this event. They've played twice. Strochnetter beat Steve last year in the semi-final, went on to defeat Jeff Ayworth in the final.
Well, plan B for Glasson there. Chewy swapped over to the forehand.
Probably deliberately, Steve. Most top players will try both sides of the rink in the first couple of ends.
Well, that's a nice get out.
Especially when there's no pressure on. There's not a bowl close to the jack, and you don't want to be trying one side of the green for the very first time in the match when you're about 3 or 4 down, 10 ends in. Good bowl, Strochnetter.
Well, he's one down now.
I mentioned Steve is off colour. He's had the flu, but I've never seen Steve play in sunglasses before. And that, I can tell you, it's not easy if you're not used to playing in sunglasses the first time.
Interesting result. Weight was good.
How far short, Jack?
What would you call that? An effective, ineffective or something, would you? How would you describe that?
About a foot.
Thank you.
It was an effective bowl. Planned follow through into the head. Jeff Wydock, our statistician, top division skip here at Moema, certainly knows a good bowl from a bad. Well, Mark Strochnetter, I don't think we'll see Mark play too many more bowls on that backhand side.
Glasson using the old, shall we say, I wouldn't call it illegal, but it's a unique measuring system.
Mark Strochnetter has one to play, but Steve's playing forehand with weight. Turn Strochnetter's bowl out 2 or 3 rolls. He'll have 3 shots and a measure 4-4.
Well, he had a similar opportunity on the first end and just missed. Now, he's turned a lot at the end. Not quite enough. Had enough weight to perhaps do the job. His line was just a little off. So Mark Strochnetter now. There's 1 bowl left to play.
Plays out of the Longford Club in Tasmania, which is about a 15-minute drive south of Launceston.
No slouch at boxing either, I understand. He was a silver medalist, I think, at the Golden Gloves competition. Would that be right?
I'm not sure, Steve.
I'm fairly certain. Silver medal in the Golden Gloves.
Yep. Yeah, we've just.
He's conceded, and Glasson will pick up 1 more. Now, 1 shot on every end so far in this match for the New South Welshman. Still, long way to go. Steve Glasson gradually going about the task here of being in front of the scoreboard when 9 ends are completed. Great start this time. Very good shot from Glasson.
Steve Glasson playing with size 4 heavyweight. Mark, on the other hand, is playing with a size 4.5. Slightly bigger bowl. Ominous sign for Mark Strochnetter, that blue bowl belonging to Steve Glasson, right on the jack. Tends to get better as the game goes on. Does not waste too many bowls, Steve Glasson. That's his strength.
Well, Glasson's form, I think Shuey's been a little bit inconsistent over this last week in this competition, and I'm sure he's out to prove something today.
He's just playing so much bowls, Steve. It's just another day at the office for Glasson. Strochnetter from Tassie. He doesn't get too many chances in the big time. No doubt his win over Steve Glasson in last year's semi-final will hold him in good stead. Loves to attack, Strochnetter. It's a sign of the younger players. They've got no fear. Might see a drive or even wait now on the forehand, coming through the gap looking for Glasson's bowl. Does he draw another one close and save the conversion shot until his last bowl? That's what he's trying, sticking with the backhand.
Can you leave it too late? What do you think? What's your views? If it's shot there, do you play it or do you tactically wait?
Tactically, Steve, he's been vulnerable on the first two ends. He needs to consolidate with more than one bowl close. Now he's got two close. If Glasson fails, he could rip that blue bowl clean out with his last. What's he going to do? Well, he's going forehand. He might be trying to trail the jack on the forehand. Alternatively, stay wide of the line for safety. Knowing Steve, he won't be playing safety. He'll look for the jack.
Well, trail of the jack would be very nice for him. He's not far away. Just lacked a bit of weight, but it's another counter.
Good bowl from Steve Glasson. Has it surrounded. Strochnetter will come in from top left. He'll try to rest on the blue bowl. Probably just on draw weight. The only other shot he has on mark is a full-blooded drive. Don't think he'll play that shot, although we saw last year the drive won him a couple of matches.
Yes.
He's not afraid. Looks like the draw grip. Bit of a wobble.
He's down at least two. They don't turn as much that side, particularly with a little bit more weight. And Glasson will continue on his merry way. He's picked up one on the first two ends. Each end, that is. One out, two out. And more. Strochnetter measure Glasson's bowl now. If there's no contact with the green bowl of Strochnetter's, it's three. It is three. Glasson's off to a wonderful start after three ends. Good crowd attendance today. Glasson on his way again.
Just a three-quarter length. Steve has brought the mat up 1 metre. It's about 3 metres from the tee. So it's 29.5 metres in length. Excellent opening bowl.
I noticed there is a marked difference in Glasson's game indoor as opposed to out. I mean, he very much likes the long ends on the indoor, doesn't he? But he plays it very differently in the outdoor surface.
Yeah, he probably comes back to the field, Steve, on the outdoor surfaces. At Tweed Heads in particular, where he's won 5 Australian indoor titles. That rink is his own. I'll probably name the rink after him when he retires. But outdoors, he's not as consistent. Mind you, it's a lot harder outdoors. You've got the breeze and different textures of grass. You see that big ring on the top of screen there? They're called fairy rings. This green is not easy to play. It's got been affected by a fungi and have what they call brown patch and fairy rings on this particular green, and our viewers may notice at times where those patch shots see on the right hand side of the line is a big what they call fairy ring. That will slow the bowl down. There's 2 or 3 of those fairy rings on this particular rink. Unlucky. It's okay.
He's made second shot. Problem for Strochnetter is he's got to really get on the scoreboard. Trails 5-0. This is the 4th end we're playing of a 9-end set. Needs to win the end.
It's so hard. The reputation that Steve has Mark knows he won the event last year and beat Steve, but does not get enough opportunities at the top level compared to Steve Glasson. Steve every week is playing big tournaments. This looks narrow. Looking directly into the sun, it's not easy. This should be the narrow side. The breeze is slightly blowing right to left across the screen, but this side actually takes a wider line than what should be the wide side. That's second shot and blocking the jack. Great bowling, Steve Glasson. Local knowledge. Not too many players in Australia know this green better than Steve Glasson. Strochnetter 2 down. He'll switch now to the backhand. Does not take as wide a path to the jack, this backhand. So looking to rest on the shot bowl. Looks to be wide.
Well, it needs a result. He'd have to try and turn his own. It's his best chance, but hung wide, and I think Strochnetter is having a bit of a problem. He just can't quite find the line on either hand at the moment. He's got to get it soon, because Glasson leads 7-0. He's a life member of the RVBA. Norm Knopp, OAM.
And the current Victorian president on the right, Arnold O'Brien.
Steve Glasson starts this, the 5th end.
Well, Glasson's playing this particular rink as if it's a Tweed Heads on the indoor with no breeze. Seven down with 5 to play. First set is almost over.
Well, it's a big chase, isn't it? Particularly playing someone like Glasson.
You mentioned, Steve, that Mark would probably just like to get on the scorecard on this end and perhaps win a couple of ends to get some rhythm, maybe change the length, go real short or real long. That's the best tactic to employ when you're behind. If in doubt, ditch to ditch. Maximum length. Oh, Glasson, awesome. Well, there's an indication of the green. It actually fell against the bias. It's just a few imperfections. We've had no rain for months, and 3 days ago, 3 inches. It's made it very difficult for the greenkeeping staff.
Once again, Strochnetter, he's just shaking his head. He can't believe this is turning. He's just struggling, trying to find the line at the moment. He's in big trouble.
Steve may keep away from the jack now. He's got 2 directly behind the jack, almost both on the line. No target at all to drive at. So just cover now. Metre behind, a metre wide. Deliberate bowl. Just where he wanted it. Too many club players draw too many shots, present a target. One swoop and they all go. Glasson happy with the 2. Says to his young opponent, you try and get out of it.
This time, not quite.
Steve would be happy with that result. Split the 2 bowls. Unlucky. Mark Strochnetter.
So I think there's more room now, but
there's nothing to drive at, is there, Steve? The 2 blue bowls. A long way away from the jack. Mark is going to have to draw to save. He's going to be at least 2 down. Steve may got 2 choices. Draw a 3rd or go right behind.
Going to be good enough for another one. That's for sure. That is the best one.
Well, if Steve Glasson had walked to the head and placed that bowl by hand, he could not have placed it in a better spot. Must look terrible from the mat end. Strochnetter shaking the head. He hasn't left the head yet. He doesn't know what to play.
Well, I noticed he was actually looking at the scoreboard. Just trying to work out, and I saw him
take a risk, have a full-blooded drive.
Well, he's thinking, well, I suppose, would he be thinking, Shuey, he's 7 behind. He's down 3.
It's a 1 bowl target. Perhaps go for it. Full-blooded drive. Glasson's bowl onto the jack, send it off the rink. The jack will be respotted. He'll score at least one, maybe more.
Go for broke. If you miss,
I think so, Steve.
you just start again the next set.
Yeah, get the cobwebs out, have a full-blooded drive now. You know the set's gone if you fail. He hasn't been drawing well enough to draw the shot.
Well, if it's not gone already. Well, he's drawing. Now, he's had trouble with this line playing this hand. He's got a bit of bother here too. Because Glasson will climb into double figures. And I would not have picked this so far. Glasson 10-0, and we've played 5 ends of 9. Incredible start for Australia's #1.
One advantage that Mark does have, Steve, is the fact that in sets play, even though he may drop this first set, well, highly likely, that really doesn't count for all that much. He starts afresh in the second set. If he wins that, that's a 3-end shootout. So that is the advantage of sets play. If you have a bad start, all not lost. But if you're playing, say, to 21 shots up and Glasson's leading 10-0, you just do not catch him. He's just too good. But Steve Glasson, he's probably already thinking of the second set now, saying, I hope I can keep this form up, and there's no reason why he won't. Look at the pressure that Mark's under. First bowl repeatedly over a metre away. Why? Because Glasson's nailing the jack with his opening bowl.
Looks pretty good again. Oh, no target either. Just putting him in perfect spot.
Impeccable line.
Strochnetter needs a result.
Mark doesn't get the bowl away as well as Steve Glasson. Quite often has a little wobble on the delivery. Once again, trying to lose 1.5 meters. No correction at all. Steve now might just cover the 2 green bowls. Don't draw too many. Got the set 1. Go behind. Cover the danger. All too easy.
Well, it's like a walk in the park for Glasson at the moment.
Well, Mark Strochnetter, Steve, he's got to go for broke now. He's got to trail the jack 2 meters. Forget the jack. Drawing to it. State 4's winner. Not a bad title to have. Now he needs the jack, at least 1 metre.
He's missed the line.
All he's done is put Steve Glasson's bowl in a receptive spot. Still 3 down. Probably see Steve now go right behind, come around the pack, cover the drive.
How far past, Jeff, are those back ones of mine, roughly?
Here,
Yeah.
about 1.5 metres,
Right.
thereabouts. Not quite that.
That's how much weight he needs onto the jack. 1.5 meters to 2 meters. Picking up the bare jack. Very difficult shot.
Well, he must get it. That's the thing. He needs to get it. It's not going to hold, though. There goes that line. Not much value there. And 2 it is. And Glasson just marches ahead. 12-0. This is an amazing result.
Interesting, Steve. If he did not take one of Steve Glasson's bowl out with his last delivery, the set would have been over in 6 ends. Would have been 13 in front with 3 to play.
The difficulty at the moment for Mark Strochnetter, if it can get any worse, what a great start from Glasson again. That's the fact that he's got to get the perfect score on every end that's remaining in this set. 3 4s will only square it.
Just a tie. Impossible.
Yeah, well.
He's been under so much pressure. Glasson's opening bowl every time within 30 centimetres of the jack.
What would be going through Mark Strochner's mind now, Shuey? Would he be just thinking, let's find this now as quickly as I can and then go into the second set?
Well, first thing is, he's a confident young lad, Mark Strochnetter. He must not panic. He knows the first set's gone. He would still mentally feel pretty good. He'd say, okay, made a fool of myself perhaps, or Steve just played too good. He's got to actually get control of the jack and change the length. Maybe go really short, bring the mat up, maybe attack a little earlier. Nothing going right for Mark Strochnetter. Steve would be just hoping that Mark doesn't come on song. He'd be just hoping that Mark continues to worry and struggle. So this will be the last end of the first set. They will not even play the last two ends of this set.
How short's the last, please?
Well, I suppose the other issue is too, Chewy, is that if Strochnetter insists on playing them to try and get himself bedded in for the second set, Glasson will have to.
Well, I know what you're saying, but that is gamesmanship. He wants to, what you're saying, he wants more time to run himself into form.
That's it.
Love it.
Well, he nearly got it by default.
He's still got a sportsman, Mark Strochnetter. He will concede after his next bowl, the first set. And he'll come out fresh, new frame of mind, new tactics.
Well, Glasson just putting in a bit of insurance at the back. I dare say he probably didn't need to bother.
He's probably just
you're right, Jack Eye.
practicing drawing to the ditch.
Yes.
May have to do it later in the match. Mark will go for a practice shot now. He won't try and draw the shot. He might have a full-blooded drive for the jack just to release some tension.
I'd suspect he's probably thinking, I'd like to get just even one this first set. Because we're talking about last year's champion here. Mark Strochnetter down 12-0. And you might as well put two more on the scorecard, and that's 14-0. And that is the end of that first set. They have agreed that that is the end of the first set. Steve Glasson, 14-0.
Ideal shot would be to slice the jack. Just come underneath the front bowl, slice it. Well, here we go, Mark Strochnetter. Your big chance. Backhand, full-blooded drive. Take the two blue bowls out near the jack, and you can have a big sigh of relief. And if he's mentally shattered, Steve, he will try to draw the shot.
I'm mentally shattered. I can't believe last year's winner hasn't scored yet.
He will have a full-blooded drive at this. Go for the two blue bowls. Wind up. Grip the bowl as tight as you like. Get rid of all the nerves.
He's playing a bit of a runner. He's not driving. Probably one of the hardest shots in the book.
Possible shot.
He was looking for the sit and stay perhaps for a couple, but probably wasn't the right choice. In hindsight, that's easy enough to say, of course, but he'll drop two more than likely. Yeah, certainly one. Two it is. Glasson on the board in the second. The first one's already in the bag. Glasson starts the second end.
Walling in Moama. Well, Steve, look at this opening bowl. Terrific. Tactically, Steve, Mark Strochnetter should get off this side of the rink. He's had a whole set. He's already dropped two. He's been narrow 90% of his bowls. He needs to get on the narrow side. Just about every bowl Mark Strochnetter plays on this side of the rink is crossing the line narrow. Cardinal sin in any play, but particularly singles. On a tiffed dwarf green, which bends really late, quite sharply towards the jack, you are far better off being wide than being narrow. Strochnetter needs to swap sides quickly. Steve's just got it on a string. toucher.
Could be the old trap, I suppose. You think to yourself, I'm going to beat this hand. By the time you work it out, the horse has bolted.
Well, he'll go in the locker rooms and hang himself if he doesn't change, Steve. He must feel terrible inside. He'd be churning up in the stomach. He'd be all sorts of thoughts. Look at this, narrow again. But just don't underestimate his opponent. Glasson is relentless with the pressure. Just tightens the screw every bowl. Second and third bowls, or third and fourth bowls quite often, just playing position once again. Just behind, covering the trail. He's got two. Don't get greedy. Keep the young kid on the draw.
A bit frightened he might draw a shot here. The crowd will absolutely go berserk.
The grandstand will collapse.
Oh, the crowd's about to roar here. Get ready for this. They're on their feet.
Looks at his watch.
Oh, this bowl from Mark Strochnetter. He got his weight perfect this time, and his line wasn't too bad. He got the sip. That's the shot, and perhaps I'm not quite sure if that's a look of glee.
The problem is, Steve, he knows it's vulnerable. Glasson's will probably come up with a narrow line on his favourite backhand. Just trail the jack 30 centimetres or rest his bowl out for two. Steve knows how important this shot is. Keep the pressure on, take the bowl out, and Mark Strochnetter knows that he's on the scorecard. Might not play his last.
Now he's nice and relaxed, isn't he, Shuey?
Looks it now, Steve.
Good shot.
Amazing what a
Smile
shot
on his face.
I'd like to see Mark draw just wide of the jack, convince himself that he must put this bowl out on a wider line.
Well, I think he's wider this time.
One, Steve.
He's got the weight. Well, he finished on the top side of the jack. That's probably a good thing. Bit of a Bronx cheer for the crowd, but Strochnetter is on the board. Take two for Mark Strochnetter. Scored one on the last end. He'd like to do it again.
Good to see the change of length, Steve. He's rolled the jack just over 30 metres, and once again, this first bowl, narrow as you like. He just refuses to put that bowl out on a wider line. Well, it's found Steve Glasson out, perhaps.
It's not one of Glasson's better bowls for the match, but I suppose it wouldn't be any surprise that Strochnetter, he's actually one down.
To win a game of singles, if your first bowl is outside a couple of feet from the jack, really the second one needs to be within 30 centimetres, and that's what he's done. That's okay.
Interested onlookers.
3 bowls played, all narrow. This is Steve's second bowl. I'm sure he will correct on line.
Well, he has. This is wider. He's only half, well, one bowl under, but just a little bit too much weight.
And look at that, Steve Glasson, 81% on an outdoor green, and Mark Strochnetter, he'll take the tape and throw it in the bin, 34%.
You're only as good as your opponent allows you to play. And this time, Mark Strochnetter is right out there. And let's see if this one comes all the way back.
That's okay. It's not a second shot, but he's convinced himself, I'm sure, Steve, that he must take that wider line. That will be a nuisance bowl for Steve Glasson. Just a cardinal sin on Tiff Dwarf greens. That's the type of green here at Moama, to play narrow. It's okay on Cooch greens in New South Wales. Steve Glasson is a machine.
That's very good. bowl from Glasson. It really was perfect weight. Just came around behind and just flopped in behind the jack. And it's very hard to beat.
Might see Mark play backhand with weight, looking for the jack or the shot bowl. Well, no, it's forehand. So 2 choices on the forehand. A full-blooded drive, which I don't think we'll see. He hasn't played one in the match. Or somehow navigate his last bowl, which is 1 metre short, right in the forehand draw.
Guess what? He's not wide enough. Disappointment. Glasson. 1 in front. His second set.
How sweetly that bowl comes away. No wobble at all.
He's looking to go round the bowl of Strochnetter, get close to the jack. Now, the first part of the equation is done. How's the weight? Looks like it's going to be good enough. Two it is. 2 it is. Steve Glasson, 4-1 in the second.
Must switch sides, Mark Strochnetter.
Glasson now starts the 4th end of this second set. Three-shot lead. So Strochnetter, despite the fact we're only into the 4th end of the match, is again on the chase.
Once again on the backhand, Steve, and if he does not draw the shot with his opening bowl, he must finish wide. He's been playing just narrow bowl after narrow bowl and just persisting with a losing tactic. Once again, narrow, 1.5 metres overweight. Could not possibly play any worse, Mark Strochnetter, on the other side of the rink.
I suppose that's going to be the big question after the match. Is we could just imagine you chasing him up the green, Shuey, and saying, why didn't you change hands?
Well, I think, Steve, you learn more from your losses than you do your wins. And if Mark does lose this match, I'm sure he's big enough to admit that tactically he's made a bad mistake. He's refused to change. He cannot find the line on this side of the rink. He's been narrow 90% of the times. Narrow once again, probably saying, oh, unlucky, but running narrow. Steve will now say to Mark, well, normally most players would switch. Steve said, well, I know exactly the right line to play. Won this event 3 times. I'll show you how to find the right line and wait. Now, Mark, maybe a drive. Take the 2 blue bowls out.
Or will he be tempted just to try that draw shot yet again?
Now that Mark's in the senior squad, the Australian coach, Robbie Dobbins, is here. I'm sure Robbie will go straight to Mark Strochnetter after the game. Well, he takes his own bowl out. Gives Steve Glasson more room. 3 bowls narrow. Steve Glasson, 3 bowls just wide of the line.
I'm sure Mark Strochnetter is thinking, well, if I can play another one of those narrow ones and grab the jack on the way through, I'll get 4. Will Glasson cover it?
Embarrassment for Mark Strochnetter. Hopefully he'll learn from this experience. The consummate professional Glasson trying to split the 3 green bowls. Happy with that. The easier shot now would be a full-blooded drive of the 2 bowls. Get the outside one, come off that, take the other blue bowl. Miracle shot to trail the jack. That's probably what Mark Strochnetter will play, because mentally he's not really thinking straight at the moment. We saw him last year drive his way to victory. Now he's trying to continually draw his way out of trouble. Fingers must be trembling. He's playing backhand, trying to trail the jack. He's got weight.
Well, he's playing that in-between shot. I think he's either going to drive or draw, and here he's playing this sort of like a nothing shot, really. I mean, you need to, if you're going to attack, play it with a bit of gusto. I'm trying to be too fancy. He's dropped 2 more. 6-1. Glasson is in control. Critical point in the match. Not for this man, though. He's well in front. Mark Strochnetter, his opponent must score.
Had 11 ends, Steve, and Mark has only won one of those 11 ends. Glasson all over the jack with his opening bowl.
Well, early trouble. Strochnetter knows he needs to get right out because these bowls will turn. Well, jack on the end of it. That's handy.
He was still narrow, but very fortunate to trail the jack. Now he probably have no trouble drawing more on the forehand.
Well, the crowd's looking for a contest here, and at the moment we haven't got one.
Mark Strochnetter, Steve, could win the next 2 ends. There's your chance. Well, look at Glasson. Almost drew it around it. Setting up the conversion shot, Steve Glasson.
Jeff, how exactly is the shot bowl to jack high, thanks?
It's only about an inch in front, that's all.
Thanks.
Steve Glasson probably now just a try for a delicate trail on the jack. Rest on the shot bowl. Just trail the jack. He's close. Great bowl, Steve Glasson.
Well, who's got shot now? We'll find out. The marker has been asked. This bowl from Glasson.
One for sure, the other's very close.
Just getting it on the edge. Out it went.
Here's a classic example, Steve, where you would have a full-blooded drive at the 3 blue bowls, take them all out. Strochner's only got 1 bowl directly behind the jack. It's protected from a drive on the forehand. He's trying to draw. If he could trail the jack, would be good. Oh, well, he's almost taken his own bowl out. He'd be 3 down.
Well, yet again, I suppose, trying to play that perfect shot and not really going for the percentage.
Well, Steve will go for the perfect shot here. 1 roll of Strochnetter's bowl, bottom right there. If he could turn the green bowl out, 1 roll, full count of 4. Steve's already holding 1. Plan B would be to slice the jack on the way through, preferably across to the left.
Well, if he sits the bowl of Strochnetter, that's going to be a very big result for him. You'd turn it out for quite a few. Well, he gave it a big fright, but it went back where it was.
The 3 bowls belonging to Glasson are all together. They will all go. As you mentioned, he's been persisting with this in-between weight, trying to play the perfect shot, and in the end, really not having much success.
Well, there we go again. He's somewhere in line for the jack here, but what's he going to do with it? Bang, back, yeah, well, it's certainly one. Now you can put that down as an effective conversion. And this bowl right onto the jack off his own, a double smack, if you like, and 1 shot. Did it the hard way, but he's got 1.
Yeah, so
For the difference now. Tasmanian Mark Strochnetter, excuse me, needs to keep scoring.
Secret of singles, get the first bowl close. And unfortunately, Mark has gone just over 2 metres beyond. Narrow once again. Haven't seen Mark Strochnetter play 1 draw shot on the other side. Steve's got the jack on a string. Hard enough to correct either line or length. To correct both with every delivery, it's a nightmare. Still struggling for the right line. thinking of line, misses the weight. Secret of bowls is to, in the first couple of ends of the match, try to get the right line, how much width to put the bowl out on the green, and then for the rest of the match, just concentrate on weight.
Glasson.
Well, Steve Glasson started a very short price favourite in the final. If he goes on and wins this match, he's really playing well. He's off colour. It's very dull at the moment. He's still got his sunnies on. He's not feeling well.
You spoke about the different scenarios. You know, we talk about these sets play, and the game's not over, of course, yet, despite the fact that Glasson has absolutely dominated this match. If you looked at this scenario, it was the old 21 up, or the first to 21. The score would be 20-2, and it would be game over. But at the moment, Strochnetter just needs to pick up 4 shots to get square, and he could squeeze it out to a tie break. So it is a very, very different game, sets play.
Yeah, so Mark, to his credit, shake of the head. What am I doing, narrow? Look at those 3 bowls on the left of the line. Game almost over. He still has not found the line. He knows if he plays weight and slices the jack out to the right, they're all blue.
Well, he's really got to get a result, doesn't he? He can't afford to drop one.
He's only got 1 bowl near the jack. Let's hope he doesn't play too much weight. I think this is the first draw shot in the match that he's played on this forehand side. Found the line beautifully.
Didn't have the weight though. Shake of the head. Would he might perhaps be thinking that, you know, I found the line with 1 bowl.
Maybe that's the side to play. Steve Glasson, I wonder how greedy Steve is. Probably just draw a second shot, but might calculate 3 or 4 if he could move the jack, and might be worth the risk.
Well, I think he knows that if he scores 2 here, he'll really put himself in a very strong position. If he's not already 1 to Glasson. And a score of 7-2 now. And really, Strochnetter has a job in front of him. 3 ends to go in this set. He's chasing 5 at least. Glasson.
Welcome to the big league. He'll learn from this, Mark Strochnetter. 7-2, 3 ends remaining. Must win all 3 ends. A double on each.
Well, that's exactly the task. He's got to score 6. I mean, a draw in this set is no good to Strochnetter because he's dropped the first set. It would be 1.5 to a half.
Look where Glasson's put his first bowl.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful exhibition of bowling from Steve Glasson. Sometimes it's harder to maintain concentration when you know that your opponent is really struggling. It's very easy to have your thoughts wander and start thinking about the next round, but to his credit, Glasson has just kept the pressure on.
Again.
Well, let's draw on your backhand, Mark. Switch now. Put the big ring on the outside, face off to the left. It's hurt you.
I tell you now, if it's a different scenario, if Mark Strochnetter was having a swim in the ocean now, he'd be waving frantically to the lifesavers. There's big trouble here.
Here we are, 3rd bowl only from Steve, and he's covering, just going behind, resting on the dangerous bowl, holding 3.
Unbelievable. Strochnetter, you're thinking, get me out of here.
This could be the last end of the match.
Well, it's been quite an incredible performance from Steve Glasson. Look, Glasson has played well. There's no question about that, but Strochnetter, well, he has struggled big time.
Even Steve Glasson, he's an absolute gentleman, Glasson. He would be feeling sorry for his opponent. I don't know whether Steve's ever had a game like this. I guess he has early on in his career. Holding 3. That's all he needs. Mark Strochnetter could tie if he got 2 4s, so maybe we will see an extra end. Mark just has a look at the scoreboard. He's got to take the 1 on offer here, Steve. Tactically, it's 7-2, 2 ends to play after this. If he takes the 1 on offer, draw the shot in the backhand, it's 7-3, 4 behind. A 2 and a 3 will do it. But he must draw the shot. No good going for a Hollywood trail of the jack. You cannot even see the jack from the mat end.
Draw the shot, save it for the next end, the multiple score.
He's got 30 centimetres of room and he's playing weight.
Well, he's playing the miracle shot here. Got to get a result. Well, he's going to get a result, is he? Well, who's got it now? Perhaps. Perhaps not. Rattled the front, really wanted the jack. Came forward, he actually fell out off the bowl, so it will be 1 to Steve Glasson. And now he has a lead of 6. And there's only 2 ends left. Steve Glasson, control of this match. There's the corporate hospitality area here at this Super Singles. Well, the equation is almost impossible for Mark Strochnetter. He's got to get at least 7 shots in 2 ends, and that means that one of them has to be the maximum score of 4. How do you get a 4 off Steve Glasson?
Must be thinking 3 on this end.
Well, your only hope is to get Glasson to play left-handed for a couple of ends, I think.
Well, Steve, remember our first semi-final.
Yeah, well, an amazing result. Peter Harris picked up 6 shots on the last 2 ends to draw it. And having won the first set, he got through.
Well, Steve Glasson, he's been absolutely superb.
I couldn't see anyone getting...
Shot bowl,
The shot bowl?
yeah.
About 9 inches.
Right, and my first one? My first one?
Oh, it's about 20 inches. Nearly 2 feet.
Good tactical shot, trying to take Glasson's bowl out early on. It's okay. Resting on Steve's shot bowl.
Yeah, we talked about the miraculous result in the first of the semi-finals, but the difference here is that Glasson is playing so well, it's hard to imagine that any more than a 2 is a good pick-up against him the way he's playing.
Between my bowl and the shot bowl?
Beg pardon?
What's the gap between my bowl and the shot bowl? My second shot and shot?
They're touching each other.
Oh, no. Thank you.
That's right, Steve. And Steve Glasson has been relentless. He'd just say it's a good performance. He wouldn't probably get too carried away, Steve. He knows that Mark has struggled. And that is just about the match. Steve has 2 close bowls. There's no way that Mark Strochnetter could score a 3. He may be able to score a double. He'd need a full count of 4 on the next end, but
Won't help him.
that's not counting this bowl coming in. Steve's got enough probably to draw the absolute shot with this bowl.
Oh, yes. How's that? Cop that. Mark Strochnetter has got to have a look here, but this last bowl of Glasson was a beauty. Found the gap perfectly, slides in front, finishes up in front of the jack, which is very handy. And Glasson
Great performance, Steve. Great performance.
He can relax. Mark Strochnetter is trying to make something from nothing.
It's too late now. The game was lost quite a few ends ago. He's playing what they call perhapses now. Perhaps something positive might happen. It's all too late.
You go for one of these fishing shots here, just go for the big bang, see what happens.
Oh, it's a pity Mark, Steve, didn't try the other side of the rink at least. At least then you've tried everything, gone down fighting, but he's going to lose this match without trying every tactic available. Might have a full-blooded drive, but he hasn't had one in the match. Probably just rushed to get off the green.
He's playing a bit of a runner. Needs to get some sort of result. He's not going to get it. It's too wide. Glasson, well, for all intents and purposes, we'll give him one. And the score, 9-2 in this second set. And Glasson, 14-0 in the first. That was a convincing performance from Australia's #1 ranked player. And he is through to the final of the Super Singles.
Well, Steve, considering you weren't feeling 100%, you'd be happy with that performance?
Absolutely. It was a funny old game. You know, if it was pick the score on the tab or something, I would never have picked that. So, Mark's a good player, but unfortunately for him, his weapons, his bowls wouldn't react on the surface today. So that made my life a little bit easier. And I was like, I could sort of hit the line most times where he was struggling with it. So that was a big plus for me.
How tough is the focus when your opponent is struggling like that and is barely getting shots on the board at all?
I think it always goes in the back of your mind, especially the start of the second set when you've had a clean sweep in the first set. You go into the second, and your first couple of bowls are not what they have been, and you start thinking, oh, here we go. I'm going to sort of outscore big in the first set. We're going to battle it out, and there's always little things. So you've got to really drive yourself to keep going, and it's such a deadly game this 9-end. So you've really got to be on your mettle all the time. So.
You'd have been wary of him too after last year.
Oh, he's a quality player. He's just made the Australian squad. He has beaten me before, so I knew it was going to be tough. And as I say, it's just one of those freaky games that you see. But I'm sure next time we do battle, it'll be a lot closer. That's for sure.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve. Thank you.
It's a strange game, isn't it, when two high-quality players like that can end up in such a one-sided contest. But that's how it is sometimes, and Steve Glasson moves through to the final. Next week, we will have the Super Singles final for you. These are the players involved, and Peter Harris, who, got out of jail against Bill Cornells in his semi-final, finds himself up against Steve Glasson of New South Wales. Now, those players are 1-1 in singles play recently, so it should be
quickly picked it up, and it was Louis who one couldn't speak to because language was already very impaired.